What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, as always, I'm joined by Shannon.
What's up? What's up?
Chris Abacon.
What's going on, everybody?
And special guest coming from the Cyber Coffee Hour, we have Alfredzo Nash. What's going on?
Hello, coffee makers.
What's going on? So Alfredzo is one half of the dynamic duo of Cyber Coffee Hour. So it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. And for those who are listening in, we are on your podcast platform of choice, as well as we are on DJY 99.1 FM in the Atlanta metro area. That's Tuesdays, 5 p.m. Eastern, as well as now we're in Fairfax Radio as well. And that's in the broader Washington, D.C. area. That's the second Wednesday of every month at 8 a.m. And you'll probably hear this one because it's special to have four people on. We usually never have guests on, but Alfredzo holds it down. So
I'm trying, man.
we definitely want to have him on. But with all that being said, because there is so many of us, we're going to run a little bit of a tighter program today. So thank you again for listening in. We greatly appreciate it. And with that, I give it to you, Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article comes from TechCrunch.com, written by Zach Whitaker. And the title of this one is U.S. Cybersecurity Agency CISA had to build its incident playbook during the incident, agency reveals, right? So that's never the way you want to do something, right? You don't want to build the plane as you're flying it, right? That's never the way you want to operate.
It's all we do in cybersecurity.
And keep the lights on.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's not the way you want to do it. But here's the thing, right? As I saw the article, I was like, this is direct effects of them cutting that work, right? Like, and they actually mentioned in the article that like it's a third of the workforce has been cut through cuts, furloughs, that affected CISA. And this is what you get from that, right? Like when you don't have the people that are able to go through and even tabletop some of these things, right? That can happen, right? You get your think tanks together, you get the 100-pound brains together to be like, well, this could happen, this could happen, right? And then you go through and say, hey, we need to have some semblance of a plan for this, right? It may not have to be the 100% solution, but you could probably get there 80%. You know what I'm saying? But this is what happens when you start cutting something that's as vital, I think, as vital as CISA, right? Like this is what you can run into. So the fact that they were building the playbook as the event was going on, it's a little troublesome, right? Because what else is out there that hasn't been thought about that they will have to deal with that's going to be upcoming, right? Like what do we not know we're about to face that they're not ready? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the troubling part of this. But Alfredzo, what's your thoughts on?
This is a little close to home, right? So last to your point, right? When the FTEs and full timers, the big .gov folks start letting go, they hire contractors, the 100-pound brains that fill the 20%, right? That you mentioned, 80-20, right? Fortunately, looking at Krebs's piece, they couldn't alert that contractor on the incident and the response plan, which is horrifying to your point. The second thing, Krebs' piece goes and says, well, as we're alerting the contractor to this potential exposure, it's of keys in AWS GovCloud. That hit home to the heart, man. That's the bread and butter, right? Like that's supposed to be the incident response plan. That's supposed to be automated. There's auto remediation, and then the brain compounds, right? There's tasks that we have to complete in a certain time and fashion to knock out an incident or alert Amazon, right? There's the hint, right? The contractor, if you can't get contact to the contractor, right? Contact and contracts, right? You can't get the incident response plan even if it's absent, because Amazon has one, right? And then the keys to the castle that go out, you're pretty much 2 legs from your sock catching the logs afterwards, right? So reading the room, reading the incident in itself, it's a little heartbreaking. Like to your point, like you can't catch the logs off of Amazon in the SOC and you don't have a playbook in-house, a CISA, right? Well, it's on the news next, right? It's on the internet, right? And the mitigations that aren't there, right? They'll come from Control Tower, right? All those keys control your SOC playbook, the logs that come off of CloudWatch, right? Right? Administrative access to certain repositories, theirs or ours, shared cloud model, and then the contractor is lost, right? That's just very, very hard to hear, right? Especially for CISA, like you said, a stalwart organization, right? Big dogs out here, right? They're watching other folks' backs, right? They're going off and trying to respond to some of these type of breaches,
Yeah, because they were helping out the little guys that didn't have the ability to do some of the stuff that was out there too, right? Like they were offering some services for free, right? Like some guidance for free. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah.
I was gonna just kind of think that there is, I think at least on the plus side, CISA was transparent about this and openly admitting that they didn't have a playbook for an event that I would say is kind of rare, not necessarily rare, but I don't think it crossed CISA's mind that somebody would actually publish AWS keys on GitHub, right? It's just like, that's such a silly thing to happen. But yeah, credential exposure is a thing. It does happen. And I mean, CISA already has playbooks. They have to have playbooks, right? It's got to happen. They have to have playbooks for all the things that happen in industry, have things that happen in IoT. And in this case, it's something that happened internally, right? It's a fact of it's almost a little. It's not. Yeah, it's the staffing. Maybe it's a little bit of arrogance and things like that. We don't know the inner workings of CISA. Only objective facts that we do know is that they're understaffed, right? As a result of the cuts. So the quality control measures, the QA process of publishing to GitHub, maybe it was, it was rushed. And this is exactly the issue, right? But in my opinion, at least there is a semblance of transparency of them actually admitting that something like this could happen, right? I think the fact that it did happen really, one, it's like when something bad happens, it's like you grow of it, right? You should grow from an event. So like you move up. So I hope, right? I'm being a little bit hopeful here. I hope this is a signal to the powers that be that says, hey, look, this is a legitimate issue. We cannot cut staffing when it comes to cybersecurity. We can't take this stuff and just throw it by the wayside. They're not just guys, quote unquote mooching off the government. No, it's not it. This is cybersecurity is national security. When things like this happen, there could be second, third, fifth, fourth order of effects that could affect the government, right? So we don't know the extent of what actually happened, if there was any breaches or access, right? A reporter had found out about the breach through, I think it was GitGuardian, right?
Yeah, big one. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that institution or that organization published this, and it had to go to the media, right? So either way, I mean, credential exposure is a huge thing. I really hope that CISA's taking this seriously.
Well, here's my thing though, right? So like, as much as CISA does, and as public as they are, you would think they know that they're a target, right? You would think that the bad guys that they've been, I'm not gonna say putting in jail, right? Because that's not really what they do. That's more of a Department of Justice function, right? But like the people that they've been defending against, they're gonna see them as a target, right? They're gonna be like, all right, how do we take down this Goliath that's doing all these things to keep us from making this money that's out here for us to make? It's too sweet, the money is too sweet for us to give up on this, So yeah, the Birdman, they're out here like, yeah, we gotta figure out a way to do this, Like you would think, knowing you're a target like that, they would invest more time into try to protect themselves. And you're right, Chris. Like this is one of those things that you do not see often. Like what they did and how they went about doing it. You don't see it that often, but like you have to stay a level. You have to stay ahead of the game. You have to be more proactive, not reactive, when you're CISA, right? So I just figured, to me, the cuts are the reason for this, right? Like a third of your workforce. And granted, CISA is not that large, right? Like we're not talking tens of thousands of people, right? I get that, but still, a third of that hurts.
Part of me feels like really bad, right? Because the people at CISA are good people. There are people, right? The people that work there are they're just like us, right? And people make mistakes too, right? And it's like that in IT. And I keep thinking about it, like when something goes wrong, you point a finger at IT, right? And when I tried, but exactly, right? But if nothing's happening, it's all fine and dandy. It's all like nothing ever. It's just really funny. I feel like this is a high level scenario of that. Like, well, look at these podcasters just going in on CISA.
I say this at work, right? And I'm like, hey, nobody is complaining to us when their Facebook is up, right? But as soon as they can't access it, like all of a sudden it's like, what did you guys do? You're the worst people ever.
Remember Meta went down at like, what is it? I want to say 2023, or was it 2022 or 2021? It went down for like an hour or something, right? And people lost it, like all of Meta,
lose their
right?
minds.
WhatsApp, all that stuff. So I just remember, from my perspective, people can communicate, right, during a exercise, right, with international partners, and people lost it. Like, what's our pace plan? Nobody has. Everybody uses WhatsApp overseas.
which is like a Sev 1 or P1, right? You're not gonna, maybe I'm a little insensitive. I'm in the gray, right? Like to your point, Shannon, and then to your very positive point, no mission data was exposed,
Correct.
right? So that's another positive, right? We understand, we keep our ears to the ground and we know CISA's mission. The other side that you mentioned, Chris, there are secrets detections. Was that the contractor's responsibility to implement? Was there budget? Was it a three-way handshake between Amazon, the contractor, and CISA to get those secrets detected pre-deployment to prod, right? Those things, those aren't technical issues. Those, like you said, those are more so culture and political issues. Like, do we turn secrets I mean, this truffle hog, right? There's a technical brain, Shannon, right? Truffle hog, boom, nah, that's not going to GovCloud East, right? Then who would say the for GitLab? Right, we're in the Git Guardian, right? They cover both, right? They cover GitLab too. Hey, look, you got to check this box. You got to make a YAML file. You got to make sure the contractor's environment is separate from post prod, which prod, it gets it down in prod, right? No mission data is going to be having secrets in it, right? Right. I'm sure. I'm going for the positive side too. I'm sure they have those controls and authority to operate, right? So that's never going to be disclosed publicly. Just as a technologist, right? Like you might have this contained environment or containerized situation, right? But you're not going to get to that high side. You're not going to get the same even environment, right? We all know, we're not going to get the same exposure because then that's mission, right? That becomes something like, yo, we got to lock it down. So it's a very good point, Chris, right? To the positive point, thank the cyber gurus, right? There was no mission data exposed to the nefarious actors that are trying to get some get back.
Absolutely.
Right, exactly. So I don't have much to add except for we have to remember that the Department of Government Efficiency no longer exists as of
Mm.
July 4th, year of our Lord 2026. So there's a chance that they may be able to restaff or reallocate budget or do something. Will that happen? Probably not. Like not to be a pessimist, but usually when you lose something, you don't get it back.
And it's expensive, right, Ryan? It's
It's
expensive to
very,
get
very
these staff
expensive.
up.
Yeah. However, there is a chance, right? Just like the meme. So you're saying there's a chance. There is a chance that they potentially could staff up. I do have some CISA members on my timeline when it comes to LinkedIn, and I do see that they are doing some movements and changes, right? Like you have like a 4-month deployments to do certain aspects of their job. Like one member, like because I don't want to use names and stuff like that because this article is not specifically positive, right? But one member is starting a cyber threat intelligence analyst detail, right? So they do have some movement to get the right people in the right places and to broaden their horizons because they're thin now, right? So when you're small, you can move, you can do things that are a little bit more dynamic. However, to your guys' point, it doesn't necessarily make you proactive when you're small, right? Sometimes that makes you very reactive. So good, we'll see what the future holds for that one. But I applaud their transparency and, like we talk about them at least once a month, right? For the most part, we're pretty positive on CISA. But without further ado, Shannon, I give it to you for the next topic.
All right, everybody. This next article comes from cybersecuritydive.com, written by Eric Geller. And the title of this one is Accenture Faces Massive Data Breach That Could Put Clients at Risk. Oh, Accenture, you're at it again, right? Like you keep you keep getting your butts handed to you, right? I want to say it a different way, but we're gonna say butts handed to you. But there's a threat actor out there that's claiming to have stolen a trove of sensitive data from the consulting giant Accenture. And Accenture is huge, right? Like they have a lot of clients that are part of the global 500, right? So
That's Big Four, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
When you
yeah.
say Big
They're
Four,
not Big Four, but they are a large I would say that they're the biggest tech implementation consultant.
Consulting
Really?
Okay,
They're
okay,
not
They're
big
not
four
Big
with
Four.
wow, okay.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Big Four. Yeah, business talk like right. Big Four is Ernst and Young,
Man,
EY, right?
hmm
So
I thought they were up there.
anyway,
Yeah, I thought they were up there.
KPMG.
Yeah.
the
yeah,
KPMG, and then I'm missing one.
yeah. I always thought
Deloitte.
Accenture, Deloitte. Okay, yeah, I always thought
Yeah.
Accenture was. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay, my bad.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
good
I
stuff.
think that's it.
Yeah. But they've struggled with cybersecurity in the past as well, right? So like 2021, they bring it up in the article. 2021, there was the Lockbit ransomware gang that broke into their systems, right, threatened to release their data. 2017, security researchers at UpGuard revealed that they had misconfigured its AWS, right, buckets. So that's a big one, right? So, and we were just talking about AWS too, but they've got a history of this, and you would think with all the clients that they have and who they're out there trying to assist, that they would be better at this, right? But that's not exactly the case. It's not exactly what's going on with it. So You got to do better, Accenture, right? Like you got all these customers that, I've talked about this before in the past on the podcast about when it comes to public trust, right? Like you don't want to lose that. You don't want to lose the public trust. You don't want to lose the business really as you're consulting. Because and honestly, I say this, I don't say this to poo-poo on consulting. That's not what I'm trying to do here. But like consulting is, I don't want to call it a dying business, but it's getting exposed to be something that people can do on their own now, especially with AI, right? Like people are like, maybe I don't need to pay you these exorbitant fees to be out here doing these things for us when I can just, ask whatever AI out there.
As a consultant,
I'm
I
not
have to
poo-pooing.
fight back.
I'm not poo-pooing. That's what I said.
I have to
And
I'm
fight
as a
not.
back.
consultant, I'm fighting that as well.
I'm not.
If
And look,
Half
that's
the
what I'm saying.
room.
I'm
if you
gonna
want,
stay in the
if you
gray.
if if you want if you want footnotes in your security assessment reports that are made up, you go with AI.
No, and
That's
that's true.
correct.
And that's true. AI
It will
100%.
hallucinate assumptions and assume things.
AI
I
will
feel like a
want.
politician. I'm just going to talk you out of it.
No. I'm not. I'm not. Again, I know the audience, and I'm not trying to poo-poo it, but like I'm seeing more and more articles about this where I'm like, well, I don't know if that's absolutely true because they talk about the AI and what it can do and things like that, and I'm like, we've seen how easy it is to AI poison, right? Like it is out there. You can get bad information, and a lot of times I was just reading an article. I know it doesn't exactly relate to this, but I was reading an article about they did a test to put this report up going through the wickets through this company, and then it was the same report, and they said it came from different sources. So if it came from AI, like how far did the report go? If it came from a person, how far did the report go? Same information, but depending on who it came from, it mattered how far up the chain it went, right? And like it was riddled with mistakes. But because it was AI, it had less fact checking on it, and it got I believe the number was like 16% farther, right? So I'm not the AI guy. I'm not, right? I'm not saying that, but everybody is out there thinking it is the end all be all when it comes to stuff like this, right? But to the point of the
Like,
article,
I think that's another topic, right?
yeah,
When you got all these very, very powerful people saying that AI is going to replace everybody, right? So we just got to be sensitive of that. I think
They're already replacing their AI with people.
exactly, and
exactly.
It's Blade Runner.
that was the point of it, right? Is there like it was the same thing. Like there was no difference in it. We just said it came from a different source, and you treated it differently. Like you just
And
didn't. The AI stuff, like it's like they weren't even going through and proofreading or checking it for anything, and it had bad information in it.
I think at one point they were hiring people to double check what AI was doing.
It's
in
not, but
terms
they're
of
not. But
code
they're
review,
not doing it if that's what they're
right?
supposed to be doing, right?
Exactly.
They're not
Hey,
doing it if they are.
let me jump in and shake the coffee mug really quick, right?
Yes, sir.
How do we know these breaches aren't AI, right? Let's talk to that in the consultancy side of desk, right? Right?
Yeah.
How do we not know at the rampant of all these organizations, even the article we covered before, that this is not one of these insider threat rogue AIs that are finding personal access keys and tokens, right? Amazon, come on, S3 buckets. We done been through a whole decade of personal protection. So you just said the secrets detection, right? Amazon does that too, right? And then in the bucket, the objects in the bucket are Azure personal access tokens. That's a rough one, right? That's a rough one. Like how, I'm not giving too much credit to the bad guys, right? But you got steps and stages, right? Pen testing consultancies, right? Assessments, audit reviews, right? EY and I think the other big four is PwC. PwC is another one, right? They've got staff on staff. Hundreds of people, a team, assessments quarterly, annually, biannually, right? Okay, so we got through that gate of governance, risk, and remediation. I'm not going to say compliance because that's a soft spot as a former consultant. Not yet, right? And then they might contract. Accenture is a contractor. Deloitte contractor, right? Like they got to step through the technical side of the house and make sure, hey, if this was an AI, how do we remediate and not disclose, right? To our point before, right? You're not disclosing to the whole big other contingent because there might be legalities and stuff, that personal access tokens of Azure, Accenture Azure account tenancy has been exposed, right? That's nefarious territory. That's like I think cross compete or competitive intelligence, right? You're not going to want that to get out to the big four, right? Like they might eat your lunch, right? They might come in and say, oh, poo, sure, there's no more coffee on the table for you. Another one, right? Birdman, you might not eat essentially because look at that, right? Like look at the exposure. Look how we can mitigate that, right?
And
I mean,
but
I
that's
will
kind of the
say
point.
that
That's kind of the point I'm making about the public trust of it, right? Like so, like you've definitely got to do better if you're going to keep going down this road and keep making money this way.
I will say I want to give Accenture. They are a huge company. Right? They have contracts upon contracts upon contracts with all these different agencies, all these different Fortune 500 companies at all multiple levels, probably managing multiple environments, way more environments than you think of. So there's a possibility. Right? Trying to take this grain of salt, right? Supply chain, like third party, fourth party, fifth party risk, right? How do we know that some of these exposures, right? They're a huge organization with a massive attack surface, right? So a large like these lockbit, these cyber criminal organizations obviously are going to target these guys, right? So there is that to consider as well, right? Like if one piece of the puzzle makes a mistake, right, because of the exposure level of everybody's on the cloud, everybody's got MSP is somewhat compromised, right? You can laterally get access, things like that. You just gotta. I think it's the fact that stuff like this happens should be a wake up call for incident response personnel. Remember, like the people that are getting the bad end of the stick at Accenture are our guys, our people.
Sock one, P1 in the sock, right? Like
Exactly,
yeah.
right? It's us. Like, why isn't IT doing their job, right?
But
Again,
but here's my thing. Go ahead, Chris.
I just want to be and say, hey, it could be a failure at one point, and unfortunately, everybody takes the blame, and they're the bad guy now, right? And I'm just come from experience, right? We've been blamed for something that wasn't our fault.
And I hear that, right? Like that happens all the time, right? Like they're gonna go down to the IT and the cyber and be like, hey, it's on you, right? But like for the exorbitant fees that they are charging, right, to do this work, like I know these companies expect better, right? Now, if they can't do better, right? Maybe Ram Cyber can jump in and do something for them and make it better for
Ooh,
them,
the
right? You know,
plug.
Eat the dog food right there, right? Product
but I'm
plug.
just saying, like if you're gonna do all that, right, and not protect what I'm giving you access to, I need to find business elsewhere, right? And I could find it, I might be able to. I am going to find better service, somewhere else for somebody that can do it for me at a lesser price, right?
And the consultants,
Ramcyber.io.
Yeah, there you go.
and you know about supply chain compromise, right?
I do. TPRM is one of our specialties.
Right. Let's go. I like that, right? So
No, Accenture would destroy me. So I'm not Accenture.
So Ryan, I'm sorry, let me just take that, right? You reminded me, right? Have you ever seen Brooklyn's Finest? Right? You ever remember Brooklyn's Finest? Don Cheadle gets in the elevator, right? It's the best scene. Like, Accenture's Don Cheadle, man. The guy standing next to him is the guy, hey man, I'm good. I'm gonna get out the elevator. You don't want to be that guy, Ryan, right? So yeah, you're right. Like to Chris's point, these are like stalwart organizations, right? But to Shannon's point, you kind of realize that the money and the coffee, the writing's on the wall, right? You got to kind of have that integrity and step your game up in the cyber supply chain compromise, and then hire the consultants, Chris, Ryan, right? Hire the folks that have specialized in this. Right, like supply chain compromise is not new. Right now, the legalities of it, right? You got to probably, like you said, TPRM, CMCC, right? I think that's on the government, the high side, right? Those are going to be expensive. They're going to be costly, right? So you got to navigate that and say, hey, essentially, like put the plug into a third party, right? Put a consultancy, put a contract and a contact together, and let's fix this for us. Let's not fight it out, right? Let's work together, right, and get this remediated for the remaining partners, right? I think it's like public partnerships. To your point, Chris, they have contracts all over the world, globally, right? They're global, right? The global game is serious, but in the municipality, in this context of Azure, in this situation where I think they said the part of the breach was what was in the buckets, right? You're gonna have to unpack that and get with the smaller consultants, MSSPs, right? The MSPs, the guys that like do this every day, the RAM.io Cybers, the soon to be, other cyber contingents, right? Those guys do it every day and they keep the lights on, right? They keep, literally, that was my analogy earlier. That's how we keep the lights on. That's how we eat and sustain our households, right? I think this is a pretty tough one, considering the article right before. Now you got two key exposures, right? Two
there's a
separate
pattern,
supply
right?
chains, right? And how do we not know that pattern? Sorry to bring it back to Shannon's point. It's not in the AI model, right? You got system design patterns, you got LLM design patterns now going upside people's head. What they do, right? That's expensive, right? Those are expensive patterns to pull out a prod. So I won't drink too much coffee. I might bring it back to the cyber coffee hour. Like right? Like there's a lot to unpack there with a design pattern that keeps exposing secrets and we failed an audit, right? Or to Chris's point, like the teams and staffs that do third party risk over there are full time contingents, right? They're doing around the clock, 24/7. They're alerting the SOC, right? SOC again, SOC. Hey, look, right? Right? Globally, global SOCs are a center of excellence, even with the big four, right? So not to keep plugging them because they're not sending us any checks, but like, that's not an amateur hour thing, right? That's a big time conglomerate, just like the tech gurus, the Mangos in them, right? The big tech guys, right? That's where that tradition comes from.
Yeah. So to land this plane, when you look at Accenture's profitability, right? So, and this is generated by Gemini, so take it for what it's worth. But they reported a net income of 2.39 billion, up from 2.24 billion for the previous year on revenues of 18.7 billion. So even though they may not be quote unquote big four or what have you, they're not new to the game. They are utilized by the Fortune 500. So this is going to go straight to the board, right? Because it made headlines. So again, when you look at these organizations, whether it be your first line defense, your second line defense, which is what I work in, the whole thing is going to become an audit, and they may have some government regulators come in. I'm not sure who. It really depends on who they were servicing, right? So there's a risk that if they're servicing someone in the financial sector, and this could lead to their exposure. You might have the FFIEC, the OCC, FRB might step in, and then it becomes an audit you don't want, right? Because it's not specifically your sector, right? You're getting the backlash because of some of your customers might be in very highly regulated and sensitive sectors. And with that being said, this should prompt them to spend some of that profit, right? Even though, it's all about the shareholders. You want to get them as much profitability as possible. You may have to spend this on beefing up your SOC, beefing up your TPRM team, beefing up just cyber in general, or IT, to make sure this does not become a repeat offense, which Shannon ran down the long laundry list of offenses that have happened. But I digress. I give it to you, Shannon, for our topic.
All right.
Or our discussion topic.
Yeah, you're good. So this next one comes from the commission.europa.eu. And so new EU plan to address the risks and opportunities of advanced AI for cybersecurity, right? So like, I would hope this is not just now happening, right? This is something they've been looking at for a little while, right? Because AI it's been out there and it's been doing its thing for a while now, right? But what they're talking about is actually putting something in print, right? To say, hey, we need to address these risks. We need to take advantage of the opportunities that AI can give us in cybersecurity. And so the EU, which is usually pretty forward leaning, right? And it's 27 countries, I believe it was. I had to look it up because I don't exactly know all of the countries that are in the EU, right? There were some I thought were in it that weren't in it, but there's some heavy hitters in there, right? You got your Italy's, your France, your Germany, Greece. Who else was in there? Spain, Sweden, right? But that's not everybody, right? Like you don't have the UK is not in the EU, right? When it comes to stuff like this, but they are,
which blows my mind.
yeah.
And
well, it's because of Brexit.
Geopolitically, doesn't that mean that Ireland can't be in it either or something?
So there's different Irelands. I think it's North Ireland and Ireland, right? I think is where
it's
like they have the different.
It's crazy over there.
Yeah,
get it together, Europe.
But no, like it's one of those things where they're always forward leaning, right? When it comes to stuff like this, but the key actions they're trying to address, though, right? They want to evaluate AI models, accessing advanced AI models, testing AI for cybersecurity, reinforcing the EU's cybersecurity and fixing vulnerabilities, scaling European AI capabilities for cyber. So they're trying to get ahead of the game for what needs to be done. But Chris,
more than the U.S. I'll say that. I'll say that.
Ouch!
Yeah. No, it's true. That's
it's a fact.
Chris, what's your thoughts on this, man?
So I think just having read the article, I think that if you guys are familiar with the relative frameworks of EU, they've got NIS2, they've got DORA, they've got the Cyber Solidarity Act. So there's a lot of stuff happening within the EU, and I'm gonna be the positive guy in here and say they are, this is late in the game, quote unquote. But when you're talking 20 plus to almost 30 nations having to get together to consensus that speak different languages, I think it's a different story versus, hey, here in the U.S., 50 states, we all speak the same language.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Like
we can't agree on anything.
Homogenous. Yeah.
Yeah, we are more homogenous, but they're actually moving things together. I mean, I think from my perspective, I don't think the EU is passing anything new here. I think they're just putting it on paper to do things that they've put on paper already, like the Cyber Resilience Act and this too. Like those are frameworks that encompass. They're very similar to what we use here. This CSF based off 853, and they already utilize ISO 27001 and all those ISO standards that are European based as well. So I think that it's a good thing, right? I think there's a lot more transparency, obviously, with their privacy laws. They have GDPR. In the U.S., we've got every state has their own privacy law, right? At least that's how it is here. Right? You got CCP in California, Texas. Facebook got fined for doing something in Texas differently that they did in California, right? So it's convoluted in the U.S. versus at least in the EU. I think there's which is it's crazy, but a continent which has that speaks different languages. All these people can get together and say, hey, AI is a thing. Let's put it on paper. Let's give legitimacy to some of these AI, regulations and put it on paper. So I'm very I'm very bullish on it. Like I like it, right? Like it's quote unquote late. Yeah. But again, a government is different from a, private institution that can just have a CEO say, we're doing this now. They got to get all these parties to agree and, get things together versus, in the US, I mean, we don't want to get political here, but like there's a lot of political influences when it comes to regulations and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of a different ball game. I think the EU is a little bit more, I would say, proactive on these like consumer / people regulations. So those are my thoughts there.
And that's what I was saying was like they're more forward leaning on stuff like this. And I agree. Like maybe I didn't say it, but like I think they've already been doing it, but it's just a matter of them putting it in print now. Right? Like it's really what it is.
Some of the, if I could jump in real quick, right? Some of the contingencies and the positives things that I've seen, I think I've seen it in the article, is the use case for AI factories, right? So much like you, Shannon, my politics and where countries are in the EU, it's kind of like that. I'm gonna probably date myself, but it's kind of like that Animaniacs episode, Lithuania, wait a second, right? Like, like I don't know where most of these countries even exist on the map since like middle school, right?
Yeah. I remember.
Right? Yeah. And they're hitting the country and it lights up. Man, I'm probably gonna watch that again. When you say that, and I saw the map in the article, they said AI factories, right? You got it to your point, Chris. A lot of AI factories are privately owned in the United States to this day. Palantir. I hate to shameless plug that one, but that's they say that the factories they're not government like owned and operated. They're privately held and operated. They come up with, like you said, the CEO, we're going to do this now, be quiet, Anthropic, right? The whole foundational model in the United States is not getting behind all these countries can unify and be in the AI factory and set up a risk assessment to Ryan's point, right? First of all, people get to eat, right? How many people can say, now I can charge to that AI that's assessing all of the companies in this country, all the countries in this pack, right? And getting from the article too, there's like a couple, like 40 or so, I think, right? I want to dive deeper because that factory kind of thing is almost like, I won't say industrial revolution, that's overused, but that tends to establish the unification, the baselining, right? Regulation gets updated faster, right? Mitigations get updated fast at the speed of AI, right? Like to Shannon's point on the last one, right? We don't know, this could be an insider, right? Like booty bow, right? Okay, we're gonna hit Lithuania. Wait a second, no, we're gonna nullify that. We're gonna hire a contractor, right? We're gonna get the legal team. We're gonna shut it down, right? Man, not to get too political too, I hear your point too, Chris. Man, that's happening in the United States, but it's privately held and operated. And that might be, a gap or whatever, or stagnating kind of thing, right? Because the shameless plug, I'll go behind the coffee curtain a little bit. I got a buddy, Wall Street Jones, that said a lot of these guys privately in the US were at the G7 summit recently. And I'll bring that back and we could probably do another coverage on that. But the private US guys are there making the decisions for the dollar, right? They're not making it for the greater good of humanity yet, right? Yeah, we just got there in the United States, we hope, right? Not to be like people sending me emails and stuff. But yeah, we're not there yet to the scale of an AI factory in the United States, country and state level. SSLT, I think it's called, right? Ram Cyber could look into it, right? But at the state and tribunal level, we're not there. You got like thousands of municipalities that have regulations and zoning clauses and contractors in the state, like politicizing it a little bit more than not knowing where Lithuania is in the factory. But we'll tell you where it is in our factory. We'll find consultants. That's what it seems like from this article. We'll tell you exactly where that contingent the country to municipal leveling or whatever. I think it's province. And like Shannon, I don't know what it's actually called in the EU, right? But their version of a city or municipality, right? We'll tell you exactly who to hire, how to fix it, how to remediate it, where the lawyers are, right? So yeah, and if you look at the writing on the wall too, most of the AI systems, like most of the systems that you train AI, right? To Shannon's point again, are on Try Hack Me. That's in the UK, right? Hack the Box, UK again, double hit. Like, honestly, in that regard, the United States, we got to step our game up now, right? We got to step our game up because they're going down to that sweet level. Like I'm training the cybersecurity professionals to be in this factory, right? Just like the industrial complex and things that we know in the United States. But I mean, man, they're a little bit on the ball now, right? They're on the ball. They're ahead of the game. When you start saying we know all the AI systems in this municipality or province or whatever. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know what it's called.
Right, it could be village, tributary.
Right, tributary. Right, that's the one.
Tributary
And
is
the
water.
maniacs, man. I'm telling you. But
So when I look at it, I think it's very positive. Like actually putting on paper gives us some teeth to enforce. But ultimately, EU restrictions and regulations become worldwide restrictions and regulations. Only because they are protecting their citizens, and anything that has their citizens' data or a citizen somehow uses it as a means to get from one point of internet to another point of internet causes whatever that restriction be, like especially GDPR, to be in play, even if you are in Rhode Island or Florida. So whatever they push down the pipe is going to become not necessarily gospel, but it will be looked at upon establishing an MOU, SLA, or some kind of contract. They'll be like, okay, well, do you have any people? Like, let's say you're an EDU type company, right? You deal with education. Are your books being sent over to the EU, or do you do any work within Canada, things of that nature, right? Even though that you're based somewhere in the States. So you're always going to be influenced by those worldwide regulations. So I think anything they do is going to be good. And then, when it trickles down to us, finally, there's going to be in a Rhode Island version of it, a Texas feature of it, a New York feature of it. Like that. So it does get kind of confusing. But again, then you just go with the strictest state. Which,
New York, baby. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. I mean, hey, NYDFS is no joke, right?
Hey, NY, what is this? They got a cybercom, right? They got a whole, just like here, Maryland, right? They got a whole cybercom, right?
Yeah. Same thing with Texas, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot about Texas. Right. There's a saying in there in the article for societal good. I don't think I've heard that in a United States municipality or state, regulated commission, right? And when I saw that in the article, I'm like, whoa, what does that mean? Let me look into that because I don't think I've heard that ever in cybersecurity first, right? And now AI. What does that mean at the municipal, like to your point, an EDU has to ensure that data is protected for the societal good, right? Hold on, that's humanitarian. Like I'm not an academic, but societal good, that sounds like that liberal arts elective, right? Like you got to sign up for that course, take the whole course, understand what everything means, and then protect that data for, to your point, Ryan, the citizens, right? Right. I could have swore we had something like that in our legal system here, right? National security included.
Don't want to get political because I'm sure I'm going to avoid that one.
I'm going to avoid the fines part too. I'm going to avoid that conversation as well.
Right. But it's all starting to bleed into each other, right? Like even GLBA is influencing educational institutions. So like everything is starting to kind of like bleed in, where you're having all these different regulations and different sectors are starting to touch one another because you're in the educational institutions and things of that nature, maybe you take on government money, and now because of that, or you're taking on money in general, now you're impacted by a financial regulation. The same thing is happening with pretty much everything that we do here in the States. You just will hopefully have someone who is a eagle eye consultant or a member of your team that will be like, oh well, did we consider a CCPA? Did we consider PIPEDA? Did we just consider GDPR? Did we consider, Texas is doing X, Y, and Z? Because a lot of books come out of Texas. So there's a lot of frameworks in play whenever it comes to building these things. You have to be very much knowledgeable of it. But I don't know, I think we kind of beat this one to death. So perfect segue. So definitely continue to check us out. Obviously, we're on your podcast platform of choice. We are also on video, so you can see our beautiful faces on YouTube and Spotify. And then there's a bunch of other websites that are starting to host our content. So you can go to Blacks in Tech, you can go to Rept in Tech, you can go to obviously my webpage, RyanWilliamsSenior.com or ramcyber.io, and you can also see that content. But we're also syndicated on the radio, y'all. So you can go
Nice.
to WDJY 99.1 FM. That is on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern if you're in the Atlanta metro area, or you're listening to it on the TuneIn app worldwide, right? And now we're on Fairfax radio as well, and that's in the greater Washington, D.C. area. We don't have those numbers yet, but all in right currently our Nielsen numbers are showing that we're at 27,500 listeners per week, which is amazing. So definitely continue to check us out. And last but not least, I got to plug the book. So if you want to hear stories from brilliant people such as Alfredzo Nash, who's featured in the book,
Don't
The Other
fight
Side
me,
of the
cite me.
Firewall, you can go to theothersideofthefirewall.com to pick up the book from me with a slight discount, or any bookstore really. So your Amazons, your Barnes and Nobles, Target, Walmart, etc. all have the book as well. Books A Million. Check them out. But without further ado, I give it to you, Shannon, so we can talk about outside of cybersecurity. How was your week?
It got a little exciting yesterday, man. So like I know it's touched the national news here a little bit, but I don't know if you guys saw that bomb threat that was called in the water world, the water park up here in Denver. I was actually there when it happened. So that we had
What
the
are the
Wow,
chances?
Yeah.
what?
What are the chances? That's
Cyber will get
crazy.
to the bunker. Cyber went
Nice.
kinetic, boy. Get to that
Everybody was
Incident
running
bunker.
out the
response
building.
plan. Let's see what they've
Right.
got.
Everybody was running out of the building. Shannon was running in the building.
Yeah, let's go.
No, hey,
Hey,
look, hey,
you
look,
know,
I'm like the skit on Chappelle Show. I'm looking at the other guy. I ain't about to do that. No, I'm getting out of here like everybody else. Like,
I
no,
thought you was gonna be like, what was that? Hurt Locker, like, kid up, baby. You know?
yeah. But what's crazy about it is that like it was that day was especially busy. We were talking about it as we're trying to get in, and we got there like at open. And we're like, wow, it's taking a while to get in here. So like we went through the whole thing. So 7 of us. I got the little bungalows, for us to have like shade and everything. Put some money into it. My wife and I didn't even get to get into the water before we started evacuating. Like my children,
Man,
my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, they got about 3 minutes of way full time. And then this announcement comes on, and like I'm walking. If I wouldn't have had to go to the bathroom before I hopped in the pool, we probably could have got wet. But I had to go to the bathroom real quick. So my wife was walking with me, and she's talking to me, and I hear the announcement, and it goes through the first time because they were repeating it. And my wife was talking. I said, "Hold on." I said, "Hold on, real quick. I'm listening to this." And it was, "Hey, we've got an emergency. Please go to the front, exit the park the way you came in, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, this sounds serious. So like, if it's a medical emergency, they'll just clear whatever attraction, they'll give them attention or whatever. But I'm like, I'm not joking with you. The first thing that came to mind was it was a bomb. Like it wasn't confirmed, but I was like, if you're telling everybody to leave, that means somebody's got to come in, make sure everything is good. That's what occurred to me. Maybe it's the military background. I don't know.
I was about to say, you had that
It's
Metal Gear, like, do, 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 do,
is
like.
that I think
It's
they
that
call that
alert sound.
PTSD.
But so yeah, we were there for that. It was interesting, and so like we went to the parking lot, and the thing was like we were talking about it. I was like, we're just gonna head back home. So we head back home. We go to my sister-in-law's complex to be in her pool, and then a thunderstorm, rolls in, and we got to get out of that. Children got a little bit of time, right? But so my day, it was not meant for me to be in the water yesterday. So
That's terrible.
now today I gotta contend with, because we were gonna stay up in Denver overnight, right? I was not originally planned to be on the show today, you know what I mean? But I invited him yesterday, like, hey man, if you'll have me back, sir, please, you know what I mean?
You can have some more.
Yeah, yeah. But so yeah, it was just not meant to be yesterday. But yeah, it was something else, man. That was an interesting experience. So a lot of gas being used to drive there and back for no reason really. But now I gotta contend with the hotel and the water park to see how I go about getting my money back. That's probably gonna be a big second day. So,
Right.
Mm.
How disappointed were the kids? There's a bunch of like, oh
yeah,
man.
they were not feeling it. They were like, well, we can go in later, right? I was like, well, the water park closes at a certain time. I said, as large as this park is, it's on like 70 acres, I want to say. I said, for them to go through and do what they need to do to make sure it's safe for everybody, by the time they get everybody in again, they'll be like, all right, we're shutting down, everybody leave again. You know what I mean? So they took the L. They took the L and just said, hey, we're closed for the day. Because some people left their stuff in there. So on their website, if you ever go to it, Waterworld up here in Denver, they tell you, hey, here's how you go about getting your stuff that you may not have gotten yesterday because you left it in the park. because they were just like,
Might as well say that's gone.
well, I
Like if
mean,
it's clothes, like if it's electronics and stuff, like yeah,
yeah,
you can figure that out. But
yeah.
if it was like swim trunks, that's gone.
Maybe, but
Hmm.
yeah. So it was an adventure. Movie watching. The wife and I were watching this series. It's Jury Duty presents Company Retreat. So if you ever watched the first season of Jury Duty, they did another one with Company Retreat. So there's like everybody is an actor except for one person that thinks that he's a temp working for this company. It's called like some rockin' hot sauce or something like that. But he's not in on it, right? So they're doing all this stuff and just putting him in awkward positions. And it's pretty funny. Like we've watched all but the last episode. They just divulged to him, and I don't think he's really caught on yet. Like they said it to him, and he's like, "Wait a minute, what?" And then the episode ends. So like they're telling him now, "Hey, we're all actors." They're about to let him know, "Hey, we've been punking you pretty much for like 2 weeks or whatever it's been." But it's a funny series because his reactions to some of the stuff, because they're actors, right? They're putting on these different scenarios to put him in uncomfortable positions in this. Yeah, it's what it is. It's crazy. But Fitz, man, what about you?
So pretty light for me, right? Mostly just watching World Cup with the family. Like that's what I've been doing. Just soccer. It's been that. So it's been mostly just sports on that end from the TV side. On the personal side, I went ahead and bought an electric guitar. I'm gonna go learn electric
Wow.
guitar. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah, I figured I want I was in band and I know music, right? So I did all that stuff in high school. So I'm like, I need something to quell my artistic need, like expression, right? So I decided, keeps my brain young, learning something new, right? So I wanted to take that. I really it came down to right on YouTube of a Michael Jackson song. And it was on electric guitar. And it was just so cool. I'm like, okay, I need to go learn how to do that. It'll probably take me
What
like
kind
a
of
few years.
amp did you get?
No, I got a Boss Katana. It's actually back there. Actually, if you can see it on my screen, but it's a modeling amp.
Okay.
So, like it's essentially helps. It's electronic modulation of old tube amplifiers. Like in the '80s, in the past, it's all analog, right? It's
Yeah,
all
it's good.
tube driven,
Vacuum tubes is where it's at, man. It just sounds so good.
but it's also like $4,000 for one of them, or it's a lot more
Wow.
expensive. It's never been easier in history to learn something due to AI, YouTube. So I'm like, you know what's the shot, right? Like I remember trying to learn guitar like many years ago, right? Probably like when in college, but it was just like you didn't have as many good resources. Now there's free courses everywhere. I'm just like pick an instructor and go through the motions. 15 minutes a day. I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe I could be like church good, So no, those church players can play. I mean, I'll tell you what, so
Was the super church good or you know?
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. Like gospel, yeah, those guys are like there's actually a whole genre of like gospel like music. Like it's insane. Like the drumming, I think I follow like a lot of drummers like Eric Moore, those guys. Gospel drummers are some of the best in the world, right? The chops they got, just too cold, right? It's amazing. So that's that on the personal end. But then like I know there's like a bunch of movies coming out. Like I think the Odyssey's coming out here in a week or
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be watching that. Of
That
course we got
trailer is crazy too, by the way. Like
yeah,
just in the new trailers, like that like giant glimpse. Like it's Iliad.
yeah.
Is that the Iliad and Odyssey, right? Is that what that is? So I could
Yeah,
actually
so it's the it's I think it's before the yeah, it's there. I read the book when in high school many years ago, right? So it's cool to see Christopher Nolan's take on the Odyssey. So should be good.
His
they got that new.
almost 3 hour take on it. I was gonna say the runtime's 2
Oh,
hours and
Yeah.
52 minutes.
wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was
I
looking
Yeah,
at advanced tickets and I'm like, wow, which apparently is IMAX only too. It was told to me.
yeah, because
On
he's
IMAX.
very particular about how
Yeah,
you watch his films.
he's all
You're like,
about the movie experience, and I
yeah,
still appreciate that. It's like, hey, he's like, this isn't designed for Netflix, for streaming. I need you to be there, I need the sound system, I need the experience, I need you to be in the room. I
It's
like that about Chris
immersion.
Nolan. So, I mean, I remember watching Interstellar and all that stuff at the same time. Oh, what was it? Oppenheimer. I remember watching that, right?
Oppenheimer, right?
And
Yeah,
then like
yeah.
Barbie the next week after that. So it was
yeah.
really
Barbenheimer.
but yeah, that's all for me.
No, that's dope. I was gonna say I've tried acoustic a few times. Like the longest I ever got was like starting to build up calluses. I just don't. I don't. I'm not musically inclined, but I love music. It's weird.
Hmm.
But one day, like I'm gonna be like 60. One day, I'm gonna learn how to play basic chords. So I think that's dope. I was gonna try to buy Rocksmith because that's
Yeah.
a game that teaches you how to play with a real guitar, right? You
Yeah.
plug it into your PC.
Yeah, there's so many
but it's so
gamified.
much
Yeah,
money.
there's so much there, but there's a lot of easy courses out there. Like starting on YouTube, you can just follow one. There's so many out there, and then really it's all about like learning the basics. And then for me, I want to learn jazz. I want to do jazz. I want to do blues because I think that's like the basis of most music, at least for guitar, right? If you can improvise on jazz, you can improvise metal. You can do anything
Right,
else,
right.
right? So that's the 10-year down the road. Like I just want to make sure that I get the reps in 15 minutes a day. Something small win a day. Just right. It's just like your fitness, right? Just a little
Mhm.
bit at a time.
That's dope. That's dope. What about you, Alfredo?
That's a good question, Ryan. So this week, I've been kind of burning the candle at both ends personally. Like I'm trying to get more time with my kiddos. We're doing an ice cream trail out here in Maryland, but it hasn't been working, balancing like little work and trying to get the podcast like back situated, right? So I'm going to try to figure that out without burning out and staying up late and not giving my kiddos too much ice cream. So that's one of the goals this week, and until like really until next month, right? It's a whole trail, like it's like 36 locations. And by the way, coffee flavored ice cream I gotta look for, right? Like I gotta look for. So my kids are so annoyed with that, packing them up there's some of these places like an hour, 2 hours away. So I've been checking I checked about six off the list. That'll tell you like right how long this has been going. But work is picked up. So I'm trying to like balance both. I'm trying not to stay up too late with that. I actually got a project. I don't know if you guys can see that right there. I don't know if y'all see the trends in like these little mini racks, like the little mini racks
Okay.
that have the
Yeah.
like Raspberry Pi or the Jetson in it. I want to kind of build one of those now because yeah, I think Skynet's about to go online. Right? So a couple jobs ago, I was just like, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there with AI. We're gonna, it's never gonna take the sock job. A lot of people and colleagues worked and could hear me say that. And then I kind of woke up at my current gig and it was like, hey man, I gotta get with this AI training. So there's some of that going on too. I got a couple reads right here. So I'm reading Enemy of Mankind, which I think everybody should check out. It's like about this worldwide pirate that was getting hunted, right? He was like a master pirate, almost like master commander was Russell Crowe, right? And then I'm reading hacking APIs. I don't really have the API game down, so that's a little personal to private. I mean, excuse me, personal professional thing. But I do it in my personal time, so I'm trying to make space between that and building my lab. Another thing I got going on, is I played well first I watched Untamed on Netflix. I don't know if y'all seen that. I like the whole what is MPS service investigation portions, like the survival kind of thriller, cliffhangers to your point, they leave you on edge at the end of the episode. So I binge watched that. That was great on Netflix. Untamed was good. I did that this week. And then I think the other show I watched there's a survival show, right? They drop you on the island. I keep forgetting the name because it's like 3 seasons right now, and basically, you got to forage and come together to last the longest. Outlast. There you go.
Okay.
I watched all of the Outlast again. It's just super binge watch. It's like boring as usual because I did kind of like force myself to get some downtime, right? Like, hey, I need to just sit here and just binge Netflix real quick. So I watched all of the latest Outlast, and it was interesting. It was a little bit more competitive, and I don't aspire to do anything like that ever. I don't think. I mean, the money sounds good, but man, it's just really hard on the body. I've noticed with like the third season too. The first two seasons were ridiculous, right? So they promised to bring another one back. And then what I'm trying to finally pick up the controller. So my kids are playing Astro that game, man, 30-year
It's
package.
amazing.
Oh my goodness. And they like my little son, right, my little kiddo, right? He destroyed that game. So now I can't just reward him with the controller. I'm like, you gotta read 5 books, right? Like you can't just you can't just jump on Astrobot real quick and then let me check that out. And then the same with his sister, right? They just I watch them and they when I sit here and read or work or study, right? Got the game, destroyed it. Like I'm like, okay, well, let me get on the game, right? So I picked up Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders, I've been in literally a bum, like a
Wow.
lazy
Okay.
bum playing some Arc Raiders right here, right here. And I've kind of dialed back to get some time to get two of my recordings up on coffee hour. So but Arc Raiders has kept me in
I was gonna say that's You play that to decompress? 'Cause that's a game I can't play extraction shooters.
You know, extraction. So yeah, it's weird. It's just like it's like my version. Like mentally, it's like Outlast, right? Like like I'm getting that in the game and extraction. I mean, it's not only the first. I mean, Division. I don't know if you remember Ubisoft's
Yeah, I remember the Division.
Division and the Dark Zone. I was a huge fan of that, so I had to get the sci-fi pieces of it in, and I didn't resurface for a while. Like you know, I actually they got in the game, right? They got these coffee like scraps, right, that you pick up, and I've been looking for them, and I've been submerged in that experience. Like, yo, you could sell that for like 1,000 or whatever the currency is, right? And I've been really like submerged in it. And then they got a new one. It's like this. It's almost like this dystopian robotic kind of. I forgot what it was called.
A marathon, maybe?
Marathon, yes.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
I'm staying away. There's certain games that I can't allow myself to play, right? I'll probably be unemployed, right? Like the kids will be asking for ice cream. Dad, what are you doing? Oh, the marathon, right? That's what like I never played Skyrim, right? I never played no well, staying along the extraction shooters is another one. That you just reminded me of. I keep not with the Red Faction one. There's another one that's kind of like both. It's robots and the wilderness, right? And I can't remember the name. It's also on Steam, but yeah, I said no, I can't play that. I can't play that. You know, I'll probably be late to work. You know.
Horizon? Is it Horizon?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So, but it's not really this. Yeah, I think that is it. It's not really the extraction-y type part, right? There's no like time limit. There's no loot crates and stuff like that. There's no counter team like in the Dark Zone or Divisions. But I've had to cut the controller off a couple times because I'm like, oh man, yeah, I stayed up a little late, man. You know, I gotta go to work. I'm still in that phase of the old school gamer, right? Like I gotta get the trophy, man. You know?
Right. I think you're talking about Ark, not yeah, so Horizon has robot dinosaurs too. That's a single player game. I think you're talking about Ark, like because it has like robot or not robots, but it has dinosaurs and wilderness and stuff
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
not no. So yeah, yes, it is Ark. Ark, not Horizon, because Horizon is a playthrough game. You're right. It's not Horizon. It is Ark. It is Ark. And I mix up the games because I don't first of all, the disc, you know, the taking the physical disc away, right? I had to give my kiddos the PS4, right? Like you know, like you guys get this old system, let me get the P5, right? The P5 is cherished, right? And the catalog started not working. So I think I have Ark in the PlayStation store catalog, right? Never played it because I know once I get into that zone, man, it's gonna be gone. Like time is gonna be gone, man. So I decompress with reading as well. So when it gets intense on story or arc raiders or any of the games that don't allow myself to play, I literally cut off the game system. So my kid, oh dad, like this, we're not gonna just sit here and burn time. I mean, it is a good hobby, but it does burn a lot of time. You know, it burns a lot of time. And I'm not the young streamers that are out here that just get like, massive time and trophies, So I'm doing the reading to kind of buffer that off and then go get outside, right? Go touch some grass, which I'm going to do after this recording. So to finish off this week into next week, I became a master naturalist in Maryland. Right. So
Okay.
it was a big journey. That's the burning the candle analogy. You know, you kind of help the Maryland ecosystem, remove different invasives, pollutants in our waters and bay. So I actually did it, and that took a long time. That took like months and almost years really to get certified. So
That's dope. Yeah.
yeah, now I bring my kiddos with me. So I bring them with me when I go and do these little quests.
That's awesome. Man, I got really nothing. So it's been a real laid back week. I needed to decompress a little bit. I had an amazing time. We did some pottery painting as a family, right? We went yesterday. We painted some pottery, so that was fun. So we'll see the fruit of our labor probably in like 3 to 5 days or so because they gotta bake it and all the other stuff they do to make it look shiny and make the colors pop. So we did some pottery painting. I wasn't that far away from the house. And then I watched Project Hail Mary. So I watched that last night. And it's one of those movies that I really wish I'd read the book first because
I
it was
did.
amazing. So yeah, I wish I had done that. Like usually I don't care. I'm like, I'm a visual person anyway, right? So I don't mind. But it's one of those ones where I'm like, I probably would have really appreciated to see my imagination put out there into into the world, right? Like the way it was filmed was really, really, really good. The way, because I didn't know anything about the story beforehand, so a lot of it surprised me because I watched like 1 or 2 trailers. I was like, man, I'll get to it when I get to it. It was a phenomenal movie, like very heartfelt, very scientific, right? Like it's the same writer that did Interstellar and did he do The Martian too?
Yes, Martian,
Maybe, yeah. So
Andy Weir.
yeah, so he's very technical when it comes to his books, which I appreciate. Like, just not because I'm a scientist or anything like that, but I just like the granular details they put in there, where you be like, yeah, because that would have killed me. Because it's just stuff I don't know.
Right.
So like but they're scientists, so they know it, right? So I'm like, oh man, yeah, if they put me in space, I'd be dead like in seconds from doing something dumb. But I really did enjoy that movie. So now it makes me want to go back and read the book to, see what other details they did have time to put in the movie. And then aside from that, man, I'm prepped for Spider-Man. I only watched the first trailer because I really want to see it. I really want to enjoy it. So that drops soon. So I'm going to go check that out. I definitely continue to check us out on your podcast platform of choice, as well as on the radio. Again, we're on WDJY 99.1 FM, Atlanta metro area, as well as Fairfax Radio in the broader DC Fairfax area. And then you can check us out on video, either on YouTube or Spotify. Hit up all the websites that go by our name. Definitely check me out, RyanWilliamsSr.com. And Alfredzo, where can they find you?
Yeah, so I'll echo the same. You can find me on Spotify, LinkedIn, actually, now Discord for video, YouTube, live stream as well, and then all the socials. We're on Blue Sky and a lot of the LinkedIn. Really, we were built on LinkedIn, Cyber Coffee Hour LinkedIn page.
And you, Chris, where can they find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Chris Abacon. Last name is spelled A-Bacon.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.
Have a good one, guys.